Wow guys, really doing this right after the Silent Hill presentation, huh? I mean, that was barely more than an ad for some shitty mobile games, but still kind of small dick energy, not gonna lie. You couldn't have waited a week? I don't know. I was gonna use a term like professional courtesy, but now I realize that if these fat cock corpos have no sense of customer courtesy, why would they have any sense of professional courtesy or anything resembling courtesy of any type for that matter? Either way, that's irrelevant because as it stands, another disgusting orphan furnace of dangerously consolidated capital has once again seen fit to attempt to drown a fan favorite franchise in a thick gruel of slimy corpo ropes. Which means, regrettably, that it's our duty to slog through them. That's right, we're going dangerously deep inside with this one, folks. Time for a react video. First up on the ropey agenda is the advertisement for Resident Evil Village Gold Edition. I won't get too much into my thoughts on the original release now. If you want to check out my review, you can do so here. Suffice it to say that I really enjoyed it as sort of a horror-themed, loosely Resident Evil-inspired first-person Metal Gear Solid game. Lots of gruesome enemies, incredible locations and design, great gunplay, fun RPG/customization elements. It all came together in what may be the best SFM Rule 34 source material since the original Overwatch. Awesome. But now it is time to buy it all again with the Gold Edition releasing next week. A little was good, so more must be better, right? Yes. But not so fast, everybody. Let's actually see what they got first. I think we can skip through this first-person demo. We get it. You move the camera for people who didn't like first-person. That's cool. Though you might want to double-check if you're into this just how much effort they actually put into doing so before buying this solely for that reason. Look at this. Yikes. Now, here we go with this new DLC trailer for Shadows of Rose, or the Winter's expansion, whatever they're calling it. First of all, Rose having powers is dumb. Yes, I understand the story. Yes, I get it. It doesn't matter. It's fucking stupid and it looks ridiculous. Now, I know Resident Evil as a series is not exactly grounded in reality, but come on, you're a horror franchise, not the MCU. Please get a grip. This just looks silly. And also, sidebar, anyone else not really seen any new areas so far? No new areas just kind of screams cheap rehash to me. I know it's DLC, but also, like, you're fucking Capcom. You're not exactly stretched for resources. You're charging $8 more than this for the entire game. I feel like you could have splurged for at least a few fresh polys, but I don't know, maybe I'm tripping.
When I feel lost or afraid, I try to imagine what he might have said to me.
Durr, that's stupid.
No matter, your imminent demise.
Cool Duke mask is cool. Not sure how I feel about them making him Evil Duke this time, but you know, whatever.
I love you, but I won't let anything happen to Rose.
I've got this!
Fucking lame. Again, I feel obliged to point out that Resident Evil is not, or rather should not become, the goddamn MCU. We've got one of those already, and frankly, I don't know if you fuck with it at all recently, I haven't, but it's looking a little rough. Not sure how many more glowy-eyed, magic-throwing superheroes we really need right now. Like, for fuck's sake, DC is still trying to figure that shit out. And that's that. 20 for Winter's expansion, 30 for base edition RE8, and 50 for gold edition. Actually, in fairness to Capcom, that's not really a bad deal. I think asking 20 for what will likely amount to barely 3 hours of gameplay through areas you've already explored is a little weak, but if you don't own RE8 already, $50 for the whole package, PS4 and PS5, it's really not bad. Alright, now let's see what these guys have to say for themselves. A question no one is asking.
Ethan gave his life to protect Rose. And in the end, you see how she's grown. What kind of person is 16-year-old Rose? That's what we wanted to explore, so we decided to have her at that age in this expansion.
You said you had something important to tell me?
She's trying to get rid of her unwanted powers, but to do that,
well, that's something I think we can all understand.
To the origin of her misfortune. We thought that concept had a lot of potential for an interesting story.
More like you thought that concept had a lot of potential for something you could easily churn out for a low cost. Got it.
So the setting this time is the realm of consciousness.
Good God, really? The realm of consciousness? Is this an 8th grade play put on by the drama club? Like, come on guys. If we're about to see some of the trash bags or, excuse me, whispers from the FF7 remake fly by, I may have to go drown myself in the fucking bathtub. Also, brief note here on what I think you can expect from the realm of consciousness. It's not just some corny slogan for a Hot Topic t-shirt. It's purposefully nebulous and vague and not intended to have any specific real-world corollary, precisely so they could just copy and paste areas and reuse assets with some silly effects without having to explain or construct an actual reason why those areas would ever be linearly connected in any conventional sense. It's corner cutting. So just keep that in mind. Not saying it may not still be cool, but just be aware of what the real motivation is here.
Going back one more time to that village. The word nightmare is synonymous with fear. For instance, if you've ever had a childhood fever that caused a nightmare, even if they only last for an instant, like the feeling of being attacked by a giant doll, or something else similarly so completely unrealistic, can remain as a fragment of a memory for the rest of your life. I wanted the core of the feeling of fear to come from the kind of memories and nightmares that still haunt people to this day.
So, scary stuff is scary. Got it. That's very insightful. Thanks. Next, it looks like he talks about additional characters, stuff from Mercenaries mode. I don't really care about this. It's a fun mode. I fuck with it, but I don't really see any reason to have this dude explain to us why shooting stuff is fun and how it's cool to shoot stuff with different characters that are also cool. I think we get it. I love this when they pretend to answer questions that no one asked. Why add a new POV? Yeah, we're all just fucking clamoring for the answer to that particularly gripping question. It's what everyone wants to know. And the answer, of course, is to make fucking money. And spoiler alert for all the people out there not asking the question, why a gold edition? As well as, why make DLC? The answer to those is also money. Insane, I know. Nothing but hard-hitting journalism on the Shanghai Pete broadcast.
In an FPS, you experience the game world as if it's through your own eyes. So it can be incredibly scary to play a horror game from that perspective. There are some players out there who might find it too scary or experience motion sickness in the first-person perspective.
We've recently been informed that these types of people have money as well, and it was decided that we should try to get some of it.
They might not enjoy the FPS genre. So we wanted to make a third-person mode for those players, to enjoy the game to its fullest. While there's still a sense of immersion and fear with a third-person perspective, when the player character dies, it doesn't feel as much like you yourself are dying. And you can enjoy playing it as a game to confront the fear that it creates, which is a very different experience. I think third-person mode is a perfect way for people to return to Resident Evil Village, as both a game and an experience.
That costs money. Remember, we could have added this as a free patch, but we thought it would be better for the player to more directly experience the fear that's created when you're confronted with an accessibility feature that's been put behind a paywall. Keep up the great work, gents. Okay, yeah, blah, 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 RE-verse, nobody's playing that, sorry to break it to you, blah, 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 cloud versions for the Switch, I'm sure those will just run fantastically. Let's move on to the RE4 stuff. Oh boy. I mean, as expected, this looks dope. Much more of a bluish gray color grading thing here going on. Better than the rotting leaves brown they went for in the original. I think I prefer this.
Anyone home?
Anyone else think this smacks a little bit too much of RE8, kinda? I don't know, maybe it's because we were just watching that, but seems real werewolf village-y to me.
Hey. I read you. What's your situation?
Okay, now this is interesting. We've already got a departure from the pace in the original. Looks like you're now hunting down the guys who drive you out here instead of just sort of hearing them get killed off screen. It's kind of cool.
No fucking way.
A little more obviously not your fucking boy than the original Ganados, huh? No, excuse me, sir, this time around.
Bruce, this is Condor 1.
Hunnigan here. What's your
Oh yeah, Hunnigan baby. No codec this time? Oh shit. Maybe somebody was listening to Shanghai Pete after
Our
all.
intel was correct then. Well done.
Something's happened to the people here. My escorts are... Gotta go. Talk later.
And right out the window. A classic. Good form, Capcom. Good form. Holy shit. Now this is fun. Village actually looks really similar, both in terms of design and layout. Gotta admit, not bad so far, boys.
Kill me for the repairs later.
Oh, God help us, he's quipping. Oh, what's this? No incredibly engaging push the shelf to block the door gameplay? It'll be missed. Wow. So far, a lot of these buildings even seem to be designed practically identically to the original. Gotta say, I'm impressed. Sick. Well, so far, so good, I guess. Now it looks like they're moving on to confirm some actual gameplay stuff. That's good. Inventory management, that's back. Very cool. Looks like we've got some crafting as well. I'm not really huge on crafting as a whole built-out gameplay system personally, but if this is some lightweight stuff like an RE8, which is what it looks like here, that could be fine.
Over here, stranger.
Of course, we can't forget the merchant.
Well, most people can't, but you are a post-scarcity corporate prison camp, so I wouldn't put anything past you. Looks like, once again, you're managing the bare minimum here, so go ahead, pat yourselves on the back a bit, I guess.
You can purchase weapons and items, and customize them to suit your playstyle. We've also added a trade mechanic, where rare gems you've collected can be exchanged for special items.
You can't go wrong with that.
We are rebuilding the original game while respecting its core experience, adding new ideas, and modernizing the playfield.
Alright, looks like that about wraps things up here. There's some bits of a new trailer, plus some more advertisements covering all the varying ways and methods that Capcom has arranged to extract money from you this time around. Pre-orders, collector's editions, JPEGs, MP3s. Nothing new here, so no need to get into it. Now, what I actually find really interesting about all this, with the exclusion at the very beginning, is how closely what we've been shown resembles the original release. Now, if you recall, my objections to an RE4 remake have never been because I was opposed to the idea of just an RE4 with better modern graphics. Who wouldn't want that? On the contrary, I've always been a fan of the idea, more or less. My objections have stemmed from my belief that there's just no way Capcom would be able to control themselves enough to just do that. See, problem is, we know the MO of modern AAA devs just a bit too well. We know how astoundingly unlikely they'd ever be to give us, their customers, just exactly what we want, with no catch, no surprise mechanics, no microtransactions, no pay-to-win mechanics, no exploitative monetization schemes, just an awesome game that's exactly as advertised, no strings attached, no tricks. Essentially what I'm saying is that right now this is giving off a lot of too good to be true vibes, in my opinion. For example, y'all remember the last major remake to give off those kind of vibes that also just so happened to show trailers and a demo almost exactly mirroring the pacing, layout, design, and gameplay of the first couple minutes of the original game? Think about it for a second. That's right, Final Fantasy motherfucking 7. And I don't think I need to remind anyone of how that turned out. So, while I am happy to say that so far, against all odds, this does look pretty dope, and they did manage to avoid my more than one par prediction, so that in of itself is kind of impressive, but it's far too early for celebrations of any kind, or God forbid, pre-ordering. Guard your money closely, my friends, and don't take your eyes off these motherfuckers. And there's just something about them. I don't think we should trust them.
Woke up, smoke up, blunt, then I pass out. Pass out. Woke up, what up, smoke up, blunt, then I'm back down. Back down. What? Yup, woke up, smoke up, blunt, then I pass out.